but we didn't want it to be. We didn't want to go too far, where it was a record that was going to be all keyboards, because our fan base would be like, no, where's our guitars, where's our riffs? So it was really, it's about balance. Hey, what's happening? I'm Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge, and I sing, play guitar, and write songs. Yeah, Walk the Sky. There's two meanings. So it came from a song called Walking on the Sky, which was about thrill-seeking Skywire Skywire walker. The guys that would walk the high wire in between buildings and put life and limb at risk, and I think ultimately feel most alive when they're pushing their mortality to the edge. It's kind of like the same concept. There's a really amazing movie called Free Solo, where the guy is climbing the rocks without any sort of cable. I don't know the exact rock climbing lingo, but basically if you fall, you die. And I thought that was really interesting. And so we have this song that definitely goes into that realm. But if you extract the term sky, it's skywalking is what they call that, or skywalkers, and I thought, well, walk the sky. I thought that's kind of a cool concept, and it definitely applies to a lot of these songs. You could look at it like that feeling of enlightenment, when you discover a concept or a philosophy that really frees your mind and helps you live a life that's kind of unburdened by anxiety and worry and stress. And so it's a very positive record in a lot of ways. There's definitely an element of freedom to this record that I don't know if any of our records have explored to quite this degree. Yeah, the new record, the Alter Bridge record, is, I guess it was a little bit of an experiment for us, because we tried some new approaches, writing and getting to the songs, and Mark and I usually work together, but on this record, because we were so busy touring in different bands, we did a lot of the demos separately, and we're real happy with how the record came out. I think what the record means to me, what Walk the Sky means to me personally, lyrically, is it comes from a place of really discovering new philosophies, new ways to live that are healthy, that are somewhat informed in a different way than I had been previously in my life. There was always a lot of meaning I was searching for that I just couldn't find, and understanding that I felt like started to come into play. And it's a good feeling. And so I wanted to have that emotion manifest itself on the lyrical side of things on this record. Alter Bridge 3, which was recorded, I think, coming up on 10 years ago, that record explores a lot of themes of disillusionment and questioning a lot of absolutes that had been there, at least speaking from my own perspective, for most of my life. And suddenly I woke up one day and had this epiphany that it just wasn't working for me. And I keep going back to this idea of software. It was kind of like my operating system for years had been trying to accept this software, this spiritual software that just wasn't jiving. It just wasn't working for me. And there were too many questions that kept coming up that I kept saying, this just isn't working for me. It's not logical for me. It works for millions of billions of people. I mean, that's great. But for me, for whatever reason, I needed to continue my journey. And so fast forward to this point in my life, and there's a lot of through a lot of soul searching, and a lot of reading, and time ultimately led me to different philosophies and different concepts that suddenly made sense. It was like software. I discovered software that I could plug into my operating system. That was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense to me, and I'm going to apply this to my life, and I'm going to practice this, and I'm going to utilize it every day and at any moment when I can and when I need it. And so, it's definitely I don't want to say the happy ending to AB3. It's because I feel like it's a continuation. It's a journey. Life is a journey, and I certainly don't have all the answers, but I certainly feel at this point a lot more solace and a lot more peace than I did 10 years ago when writing AB3. Keep an open mind was what I'd say to myself from 9 years ago. Don't shut down possibilities just because you're frustrated. This is it's like what I was alluding to earlier. It's an ongoing journey, and you're going to sell yourself short if you don't keep searching. I've always been a searcher, and a lot of people are, and I think that hopefully a lot of people will relate to this concept. Yeah, each record's it's a new challenge. I think for me, the more we do this, the challenge is to not repeat yourself and do something that's to some degree evolving, but with at the same time not alienating your fan base who knows you for a specific thing. And so that's something that the more records we make, we have to get more and more creative in how we're going to have this little element that helps define this record for this period. And with this record, what we did is we incorporated a certain amount of I want to say synthesizers people immediately hear synthesizers and they start thinking, oh, you're going to get, they're making a Devo record. But it's not that. It's more in line with a lot of the John Carpenter films that we grew up watching that had this like spooky element. And I didn't even know this till we started doing a lot of the press for this record, that he's actually been out touring, which I think is awesome. That's really cool, playing those songs. That added such an incredible dimension to a lot of his films. So we wanted to take that element. Mark was really into a band called Gunship, which I think informed some of his idea of what we might be able to incorporate into this. I was really surprised when we talked, because he's such a guitar guy, and for me, I love the guitar, but I also love so many different offshoots of popular music and whatnot, and find so many things very interesting sonically. And so it was cool when he called, and we were definitely on the same page, because I'd been kind of experimenting ever since Stranger Things came out, and a lot of bands. I think Stranger Things has had a pretty profound effect on a lot of music that's come out over the last few years. It's interesting how many people are kind of falling in line with this sort of thing. Yeah, it was fun to experiment with that, but we didn't want to go too far where it was a record that was going to be all keyboards, because our fan base would be like, no, where's our guitars? Where's our riffs? So it was really, it's about balance. It's about just finding the right amount of, a little bit sprinkling over the top. Well, a life, it's just, you learn to kind of be an antenna and just channel things. It's just, you never know when it's going to hit. You just got to you get real good at being aware and being, realizing when something's being gifted to you musically, a concept. Like the other day, I had a dream, and this has happened a number of times. Some of my favorite song ideas have come in dreams, and it was a really cool piece piece of music that I dreamt, and I woke up, grabbed my phone, grabbed my guitar, and documented. Because you know how it is with dreams, you forget things for some reason immediately. So I knew it would have been nice to have sat in bed for at least 5 minutes and just kind of come to, but I knew that if I did that, I'd forget it. And so, yeah, I think it's realizing that you're always on call. It's like being it's like being like a sonic doctor. Like you always have to be on. You always got to be ready for something. The phone's going to ring and be like, "We need you down here to take care of some business," and because you never know when the universe is going to throw a song idea at you, and you got to capture it. Yeah, for me, it's really easy because the things I do on my solo record are so different from what we do with Alter Bridge, and with Slash and the Conspirators, that's very different as well. So I feel like I operate in 3 separate sonic universes that I feel like I never really have to worry about blurring the lines. And the solo record in particular, You're the Tiger, was great because it was an acoustic based record, and getting that off my chest, having the opportunity to make a record that was that stripped down, then made it so that I was beyond ready to turn the amp up and turn it up loud and play riffs again and turn up the distortion or turn up the overdrive and just rock, So I think that it kind of helped kind of get a lot of things off my chest that I'd wanted to do acoustically, and now I was ready to step back into this and. Favorite song off the new record? It's a really good question. I don't know. I really like In the Deep. I like In the Deep because it's different in a lot of ways. I feel like it's just got a vibe that we haven't really touched on in certain parts of the song. And then it has very familiar aspects, but yeah, there's something about that song that just makes me feel good. And it's funny, when I listen to music, I hear it in colors a lot of times, and that's I see blue. I don't know why. Every time I hear that song, I get this kind of this calming blue essence. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, that song just makes me feel good.